History is often written by the victors, but what about the colossal mistakes that led to defeat? Today, we're diving into some of the most epic military blunders that changed the course of history. These aren't just bad days on the battlefield, they're catastrophic failures of strategy, ego, and foresight. Here at ThinkSmart Media, we bring you the stories that shaped our world. If you enjoy uncovering the pivotal moments and hidden truths of history, subscribe and hit the notification bell to join our community of thinkers. Let's start with a classic, Napoleon's invasion of Russia in 1812. At the height of his power, Napoleon led his Grande Armée, over 500,000 strong, into the vast Russian expanse. He expected a quick, decisive victory. What he got was general winter and scorched earth tactics. The Russians refused to engage in a major battle, instead retreating deeper and deeper. The brutal Russian winter set in, and Napoleon's army, starving and freezing, was forced into a disastrous retreat. Of the massive force that invaded, less than 100,000 survived. It was the beginning of the end for the French emperor. A humbling lesson that conquering land is one thing, but conquering a Russian winter is another. Next, let's jump to the Second World War and a defensive strategy that proved tragically flawed, the Maginot Line. France spent a fortune building this massive line of concrete fortifications, cannons, and machine gun nests along its border with Germany. It was considered impenetrable, a masterpiece of defensive engineering. The problem? The line didn't extend through the Ardennes forest, which the French considered too dense and rugged for a modern army to cross. But in 1940, that's exactly what the German panzers did. They simply went around the Maginot Line, rendering France's ultimate defense completely useless. The Germans swept through, and France fell in just 6 weeks. It's a stark reminder that even the strongest walls are worthless if your enemy finds an open door. Speaking of World War II, let's talk about the man who made the Ardennes breakthrough possible, Adolf Hitler. While his military machine seemed unstoppable early on, his arrogance led to one of history's most fundamental strategic errors, fighting a two-front war. After failing to defeat Britain, he turned his attention east and launched Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union. In 1941, just like Napoleon, Hitler underestimated the vastness of Russia and the harshness of its winter. He was now fighting the British and Americans in the West and the Soviets in the East, stretching Germany's resources, manpower, and supply lines to the breaking point. This decision ultimately sealed the fate of the Third Reich. Another blunder from the same era happened on a tiny Finnish border, the Winter War. In 1939, the mighty Soviet Union invaded Finland, expecting to roll over the small nation in a matter of weeks. The Red Army had overwhelming superiority in troops, tanks, and aircraft. But the Finns had something the Soviets didn't. Sisu, a unique Finnish concept of courage and resilience. Using clever guerrilla tactics, ski troops, and their intimate knowledge of the frozen terrain, the Finns inflicted staggering casualties on the invaders. They nicknamed their improvised explosives Molotov cocktails after the Soviet foreign minister. While Finland eventually had to cede some territory, its incredible resistance was a massive humiliation for the Soviet Union and proved that sheer numbers don't always guarantee victory. Finally, we turn to the Pacific, and a day that will live in infamy. The attack on Pearl Harbor. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the U.S. naval base in Hawaii. The attack was devastating, but the real blunder wasn't military. It was a failure of intelligence and imagination. The U.S. had multiple warnings, from decrypted Japanese messages to radar sightings of the incoming planes. But these clues were dismissed or misinterpreted. American leadership simply couldn't believe Japan would dare to launch such a bold attack. This failure to connect the dots led to one of the biggest intelligence failures in history, catapulting the United States into World War II and ultimately leading to Japan's defeat. From the frozen plains of Russia to the tropical waters of Hawaii, these stories show how arrogance, poor planning, and a failure to adapt can lead to disaster. They are cautionary tales, written in the blood of soldiers and the ashes of empires, reminding us that in war, the greatest enemy can often be yourself. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey through history's military mistakes interesting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. Let me know in the comments which historical blunder you find most fascinating. See you next time.